Another evening of Museum in Lotus. We are back in Lotus or Water Gallery with Mr. Giuseppe De Giusto. Of course, we know that this entire season we are talking about items and antiques that are not for sale, but are, actually collections of Master Yun, but you can through them and understand better about the ideas and the universe of Master Yun's art, especially. Many episodes. This is the 44th.
The 44th, yes.
Mr. Pino, what's your thoughts on the season so far? What's your feel about the whole thing?
I mean, for me, it's been an eye-opener in many, many ways. I had never done this. I was very perplexed at the beginning. But as I've gone along, I think I've learned many things. Many things about the art of fengshui, the meaning of fengshui, and examining and interpreting the art of Master Yun. So it's been a world that has opened. In Europe, we don't have the art of Feng Shui, and understanding how much the Feng Shui and the tradition and the belief is so deep in the minds and in the culture of the Chinese. So really a new angle for which I didn't have any knowledge or understanding. And this has been very, very, very good for me. Explaining the items of the collection, understanding what is the element that conducts the collection from one piece to the other, touching various countries. And in spite of the fact they're so distant, this country, there's still something that has a common line, a common chain. And that's been a wonderful experience for me. And then analyzing, going in detail, and doing research work, which is necessary in order to present this to the audience.
The idea that there's common things between cultures, as Mr. Pino has mentioned, and of course by the end of every episode we will find that, there's some commonality and similarity between all these cultures that happened before, because after all they're antiques, right? And today's world, and especially with Master Yun's art. So that's the amazing thing we've been talking about for the past 43 episodes, including today for the 4th episode. Now, last week, we talked about something that made my nose a bit itchy, because it's antique rugs. Am I right? The word is called rugs, yes. Antique yes. Rugs, amazing rugs. You might see them once in a while, all those things, but little did I know that there was so much magic in them. Now, if you have come, first let me say hi. Yvonne, Geraldine, Ruby, Laura, Eileen, Stephen Le, Jillian, Jenny Tan, they are all here. Menda as well. Thank you for watching. So if you are watching here, once again, we are on the 44th episode of Museum in Lotus. Through this, you will understand Master Yun's world and Master Yun's Feng Shui art world even more. Now, if you have been to the gallery since last week, since the last episode, you know that the chair I'm sitting on is one of the Qing Dynasty chairs, super comfortable, okay, very durable. You have to be really amazed about how the ancient Chinese did their furniture. But if you come and you had the chance to sit on them, you will realize that I already said there are new additions to the galleries. And if you come, it will be. We have placed this on the seats. It feels entirely different once I take it out, because we placed this. If you remember from last episode, this is one of the pairs of very exquisite Tibetan rugs that when they did it in the past, it was meant for high lamas or actually foreign high-end guests. One thing, if I remember correctly, yes. is that because they had even an older border of Chinese silk around it, that goes to show how they meant this to be super prestigious. Am I right?
Super prestigious.
So if you come to the gallery, you would be able to sit on this. And the drastic difference was that, you see, the camera cannot catch where my butt is going, but you can see what I'm trying to do is that the chair is very comfortable, but the chair can be a bit cold at times. But this carpet, this rug makes it super duper comfortable. So we have this over here, you see, with and without. You see, this is without, this is with, okay? So what you're sitting on now is actually a carpet. It's actually a rug that is, that was once used by high lamas or super high foreign guests. As Mr. Pino has rightly mentioned last episode, that if today Li Xiandong and wife
Yes.
or other foreign dignitaries were to go to Tibet, China, that they would be offered the same kind of prestigious level. But you can get it here, over here at Lotus on Water. I think that's something that's amazing about our show as well, because not only do we know more, you know that something, you get to experience more as well. And experience not just meaning that you watch this show and then you experience. No, no, no. You come to the gallery and you get to experience a lot of this good stuff yourself as well. The Chengshan Buddha, for one, you come here and you go. Okay, this table over here we're just putting it here for you to enjoy and feel it. And now you can actually feel the warmth of this Tibetan rocks. Am I right?
And this is uniqueness, not only of the show, but the fact that your audience, your visitors, can come and can actually touch something that you would not be able to do if you were to go to a museum. And then by just touching, you get that sense, for instance, of the wool that have been woven in order to create the two seats that we are actually sitting on tonight.
Do you feel that it's warmer tonight?
I just feel that the comfort that they are providing is just incredible. This should never leave these chairs. And it makes me think, how many dignitaries visiting a High Lama would have sat, and they would not have sat on this, because in turn there would have been underneath another carpet.
Right.
Doesn't that give you the feel not only of the quality, of the importance, but offering a second rug to sit, and the most important one? So I feel that this is something really unique. And I don't think in any museum, if these were to be exhibited, anybody would be allowed to sit on.
Of course not. There will be, if you go to a museum and you will see this, it will be enclosed, encased in those, like, probably bulletproof, I don't know, yeah, far, far away. You can see, it will hang out nicely and admire, but you won't be able to touch it or to sit on it simply because of wear and tear.
Yes.
Simply of wear and tear. So here we are actually running quite a risk that all this wear and tear thing. I don't know, these Qing Dynasty chairs are amazing. I've been saying this for every episode. If you haven't come and experienced this, you must. Truth be told, I don't know how long these chairs can last.
But can I say,
but it has lasted for a couple of 100 years.
It's lasted for a couple of 100 years, and if only treated with respect and knowing that they have 200 years, I think easily they will live for another 400, 500 years. It's just about taking care of them and respecting them.
Right. So today we're still in the rocks, and the realm of rocks. We are still going to continue to talk about the rocks. Okay. Since last week we have been talking about it and how it connects and how they're from Tibet and how they were influenced hugely by Chinese culture. I brought out the book and the tea, all this stuff. I have friends who actually came over here to ask me, because probably Singaporeans that are not too familiar with the term rocks.
Yes.
They are more familiar with the term carpets.
Yes.
Right. But we know that carpet is the one that is just on the floor.
Yes.
So it doesn't include the ones that's on the saddle.
Yes.
But they are quite similar in a sense.
Yes.
Right. So we have carpets. If you come to the gallery, you will know that when you take off your shoes and you step in, you feel that, oh my God, it feels really different, because there are Persian or Iranian carpets right on the floor.
Yes.
Right. And actually, these, in a way, they are also carpets.
Yes.
Now, when I say carpet, it's easier to understand.
Yes.
And there's something with carpets that I think most of you would be familiar with, and is that if you recall the story of, I don't have it today, if you recall the story of Aladdin. You know Aladdin?
Yes.
That they're remaking the Disney thing. They're remaking into a movie recently. Real life character Will Smith as the genie. There is this artifact inside this movie that we call it the magic carpet, or the magical carpet. I forgot what was it. Was it the magic carpet or the magical carpet? Anyway, it was a carpet that flies. Are you aware?
I do know about this part of the story, the magical carpet, which allows people to fly. And I suppose this is very much in line with the imagination of people. People who want to be in another part of a country or in another country. And in those days, it wasn't that easy and was very limited to very few. And maybe airplanes also did not exist.
Yes. So it was at the time that when I talk about magical carpet, now you will know what I'm talking about. It is that beautiful, like, I think it is way smaller than what we have here. It is pretty much that it's like a two-seater carpet.
Yes.
The ones that the Muslims will use for prayer, I think, those kinds, that they can fly and actually carry the weight of at least two people to a far-flung place. And you are right to point out that because in the imagination of people back then, to travel distances that's beyond your hometown or your area of activity was much unimaginable. Not just because it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort, and it's just physically impossible. Okay, so the ideas of how you can travel great distances at a very short period of time, it's not just in the tale of Aladdin. In fact, in a lot of Chinese tales, they have the same thing. Sometimes it's just not carpet, sometimes it's something else. For instance, okay, in Aladdin, we have the magical carpet. If you know of any other tales that has something similar, a super duper transportation tool that allows you to jump to a different place in just a split second time. It's magical, right? We have the magical carpet or the magic carpet in Aladdin, which is like a Persian Arabic tale. In Chinese, we have, like, you know, there's this god in Chinese that you might be familiar. It's going to do something with the carpet we're going to talk about later. It's the monkey god, the monkey king. You know, he also has something that allows him to travel like super distance at super speed. He has a cloud. It's quite redundant, right? Actually, you can fly all the way there, but you know, he will just, and the cloud would appear, just like how Aladdin would actually have the carpet appear, and then they can travel great distances in just split second. So the imagination to travel great distances, physical distances, has always been around in humanity. And sometimes we are not just traveling across or overcoming great mountains or rivers or seas. We are overcoming our realms, that this is the physical plane. Can we get past this to the other world? And that we might also need a magical carpet. For instance, like the one right beside me and Mr. Pino. Now this one, I'm just going to ask Mr. Pino directly. Well, where is this? Is this Tibetan?
This is a Tibetan, extremely rare, I would say, Kaden. And last week, if perhaps you remember, the Kaden are the carpets. I'm using now the expression carpets, which equals to rugs. And this carpet was, because of the color, I have definitely concluded that it was used by a lama.
Right.
Because it has the monastic colors, this sort of orange.
Let me ask you a question first while Mr. Pino explains what's going on. Because this carpet or this Tibetan rug, it's quite obvious. We have a few today. In fact, one more here. But I chose to hang this up in the center. And I hope that if you, when you're looking at this, that you can comment here that what do you see in this carpet? I mean, you look at this and you tell me which animal it belongs to. Number one, don't worry, it didn't come out from the real animal. Am I right? Yeah,
yes.
It's woven. It's still woven, but it is used to symbolize a particular animal. Very much to do with what's going on with this year, which is why we put it up here. So if you know what animal it symbolizes, type in the comment. Sorry, yeah, you were saying.
And it's very, very special in many ways because it was almost reserved to lamas. Why? It's because it was a very strong sign of protection during the meditation. And interestingly enough, when the high lamas would travel from one monastery to the other monastery, and that might have taken even days, if not weeks, he would cover his luggage with these kind of carpets.
Right.
Why is that? It's very simple. It's a way of being recognized by the peasants and the villagers that he would encounter in going from one place to the other. And these people would actually ask them to stop. They would revere these people. They would offer them warm food. They would offer shelter. They would offer water. And the Tibetans are very strong in their Buddhist faith, very, very strong. And therefore, whoever represented the Buddhism and the faith would absolutely be revered. So, when we look at this rug, we have to think and we have to imagine in our own minds that a lama would sit on them and would meditate and would feel protected. It was also a way of recognizing the strength, the power, the same strength and the power of the animal was automatically transferred to the person who used these carpets. So imagine, and why they used these carpets? Because the tigers were not available. Some of the tigers actually from the south, that is from India, went to Tibet, but very few and far apart.
They can't survive that high,
They
right?
cannot survive.
So what we are talking about is that you're telling me that this Tibetan rock, which is, a lot of them got them correct, they say tiger.
Absolutely.
They used it to sit on it. Kaden, yeah. Like 地毯,
Yes.
okay. So, but because it's such a revered animal, that it was reserved for the use of someone respectable, for instance, like the high lamas.
Yes.
And if when they're not sitting on it, when they're traveling, they will actually wrap their luggages and their baggages, maybe the chests. You know, we have seen the chest before. They will wrap the chest with something like this on it, and then maybe they'll just their servants will carry it. And can I imagine that it's actually like a name card?
Yes.
It's actually like a name card.
Name card.
That people, I mean, you don't have WhatsApp in the past, you don't have Facebook, you can't add the High Lama on Facebook, you know, maybe he won't accept anyway. So, but you can see it that, from the luggage, you know, oh, this guy, he is that Lama.
Yes.
And so therefore, you will seek his blessing, and then it's a free publicity anyway.
Yes.
Once you have this tiger rug on you, or this tiger carpet on your luggages, on your baggages, you are there, correct?
Yes.
So that means if we go back in time, what's the age of this, may I ask?
Okay, this would be the beginning of the 20th century. That would be the age. I would not say that it's 19, but early 20th century. And what we see, not only the beautiful colors, but if you come and when you come and take a look, you will see that the color is different. So mother roots were actually picked, they were crushed, then there would be a mordant, so that the mordant would help in stabilizing the color onto the yarn, and after which the rug would be woven. And this effect is so beautiful because it tells you that this is not a product of an industry. This is a cottage industry, and it's been beautifully knotted. I've seen the knots, absolutely amazing. When you look at the stripes, the first impression that I had, it was black. It's not. It's indigo. So they've used all natural colors, nothing but natural colors. One thing that I did mention last time is that when these rugs were completed, because they would frail the salvages very easily, what happened? They used to be covered, the salvages, with felt, and usually they would use red felt. It's something that Tibetans really loved. And as I was examining, and I looked at the back of the rug, and I don't know if I'm able to show it to you, you will be able to see the savages actually covered with velvet. This is red velvet.
Right.
In order just to strengthen it, this rug was so precious that it was only taken out for the very important occasions, as I mentioned, and it would be a recognition of power, like, as I mentioned earlier, the tiger pelt would represent the tiger, and therefore the strength, the determination, and what stronger animal you would possibly have in Tibet if you consider that the lion was not there. But for a period of time, yes, the tiger were there. But this is very inhospitable land in terms of weather, and if you consider the altitude is over 3,000 meters above the sea level.
I'm definitely going to keep this tiger carpet, tiger rock in the gallery, because it's definitely for us Chinese, the tiger and the lion, they are really symbols of auspicious creatures for sure. And of course, based on what you just said, the usage of this by the high monks, it was a symbol of respect and so on. So this is definitely going to stay in the gallery.
Yes. Now, one more thing is that these rugs or these carpets were actually not known. It's only after 1959, when the Dalai Lama left Tibet and went to India, that the Tibetan rugs, Tibetan carpets, were started to be seen. And these rugs here were still kept in monasteries with the relevant Lama. So there was one collector, and her name is Lily Lipton, Mimi Lipton, I'm sorry, I correct myself, Mimi Lipton. And she published a book of 108 of Tibetan rugs.
Interesting.
And she didn't want to even add one more. When she reached 108, which I understand is a very important number for the Buddhists, she stopped.
Right.
And her collection is very, very beautiful. And I'm sure a piece like this would definitely have been a beautiful part of this collection. But at 108, she said, no more, I'm not collecting anymore. I suppose that's a very auspicious number, and she didn't want to overdo it. She was happy.
Well, it's definitely a very auspicious number for sure that we know. 108, we are familiar with it. Well, I was talking about how carpets are magical. First we imagine that carpet is something that, or rugs are something that when they daily use, it's there. It's a common object.
Yes.
In the household. When we travel, when they used to travel, they have rugs or carpets. It's like handphones nowadays. It's common. But the imagination came about when I said that what if this common object is magical? What if this common object that is in everyday life, it can bring me to distances far, far away? And when we are talking about this tiger rug, that means that it's not just about bringing you to above or across the mountains or across the ocean. It is actually bringing you to a different level, because this is such a revered creature that you don't really find in Tibet. And when you have this carpet and when you have this rug, it seems as if it's bringing you to a different level in status, in imagination as well. So this is really what the magical carpet can do for you, or did for the Tibetans in the past. Of course, we still have a few more, and I suppose they would have the same magical effect.
I think yes.
Which one should we take a look at next?
Okay, there's an interesting piece.
Right.
This is a very complicated one, which we will leave. But let me just show you. I think we have presented in the past episodes what the snow lions symbolized for the Tibetans.
These are snow lions.
These are snow lions, beautifully snow lions. And I would like to ask you, what do you think could have been the use of this carpet? Very small one. Would this have been used by the lamas? Possibly. But for what?
Well, you see my point, I see a symmetry. You see a symmetry that's over here. I mean, it crosses as if, I'm not sure whether it's intentional, but because there's a bend here anyway, so it seems that it's split in the middle and both sides will look the same. and therefore it's a saddle rug.
Absolutely right.
I just want to demonstrate one thing. What I mean
Yes.
by, would you trouble you to give me one of the stools over
Not
there?
at all.
I mean, you know, when we talk about saddle rugs, no one rides a horse nowadays. No one, I mean, have you ever rode a horse before?
I have never.
You have never rode a horse
No, did
before? Yeah. I come to the office with horses every day. Yeah, I work in the fengshui industry. Yeah. No, I rode horses when I was overseas. Now, Amanda mentioned it is for meditation, but if you look at symmetrical, maybe not so much, unless you're meditating on the horse. How old are you again?
I'm 71.
But you have never rode on a horse before?
No, never.
When you travel from Florence to Vienna, no horses?
Never.
Yeah.
I think my parents were particularly worried. I'm going to lose my son if he mounts a horse.
Do you know, the weirdest thing in the past was that, let me talk about horses. Huh?
Yes.
Before there was buses or whatever that is, before there were cars, to ride on the horse is the most common thing for
Yes,
people.
yes.
Okay? Even soldiers, normal soldiers ride on the horse. Unfortunately, for the normal soldiers, is that they don't have a saddle. They would have to lift themselves up, so they will have a very perky butt. Because if not, they don't have a saddle. The saddles are too expensive. The dukes and the generals, they would have saddles and they would have something like this on top to show the status. And when the car was invented, so only the rich people can drive the car. But today, the poor and everyone else drive the car, only the rich will get to ride on the horse. Am I right?
Possibly, yes.
Yeah, I mean, if you ask about who can ride, I sent my son for the weekend activity. What was the activity? I let him go and ride the horse. You know, there's a word for it. It's equestrian or something like that. Yeah. Do you know of the royal family who is in the equestrian team?
Who?
Princess Anne,
Oh, yes.
the daughter of
You're right.
Queen Elizabeth.
Yes.
Yeah, she's the one of the most famous Olympians in the
Right,
royal family.
right.
So I'm taking this stool because I'm imagining there is a horse. So you have to imagine in me that this is a horse. Anyway, you have never seen a horse before. I'm just guessing this horse is about this fat. So probably it will be split from the middle, something like that. There's supposed to be a saddle that holds it up a little bit.
Yes.
And this is how the horse is. So it would look the same on both sides. Here you will
Exactly the
see
same.
so if there's a saddle, it will hold it up a little bit. I suppose there's a hole here to tie to the saddle.
Yes.
Yeah, am I right?
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes.
So reinforced by leather, it seems. Is this leather?
It's
Probably.
enforced by leather. You're absolutely
Yeah.
right. Yes.
Yeah.
And stitched to the rug.
Yeah, you see.
So a
yeah.
hole was made into the rug in order to allow the straps to go through and around the body of the horse.
You know, if you have done like 44 episodes of Museum in Lotus, when you touch an antique, you start to connect with it, and you briefly can understand what the hell is going on with this hole.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, so imagine that this stool is the width and the body of the horse. One side with the saddle popping up, and this should be, I think the saddle will have something that is coming up from here.
Yes.
So you would have one side, the snow lion.
Snow lions.
The snow lion, very obvious. And if you're on the other side, no surprise, the snow lion is there. So that would, whenever you see a symmetrical carpet, if it's of this shape and size, probably it's horse saddle.
Definitely, definitely.
I should have.
What is important about this? It's important for one specific reason. It symbolizes Tibet. So if you see in the flag of Tibet for a period of time, the snow lion was represented. And he is the believer, he is the protector of the Buddha. So a very important mythical animal.
Right.
And the way it's been woven is just beautiful. Now look at what Mr. Khan is doing, is sort of caressing the rug with his hands.
I would do that if I was on a horse. I would do that if I was on a horse, you know.
But let me tell you, this leads me to tell you, we have seen the rugs made in Tibet, and they were able to weave this length. But when we look at this in particular, we see that one part was woven this way, and the other one the opposite way. So these are actually two pieces of a saddle which have then been sewn together.
Right.
Why? Why? Very simple. The Tibetans, over the century, knew what the effects of the elements would have had onto the rug. So imagine snow or rain would have fallen, and if it was only in the same direction, it would have absorbed the rain. By this way, the rain would have gone on one side and on the opposite side, and would have just been eliminated without damaging the rug.
Right.
It's amazing, the technique. This is a wonderful, wonderful piece. It's basically dated end of the 19th century, and I can see
It's wool
that
and wool.
this is wool. This is
Yeah.
wool on wool.
It's wool and wool.
This is
you know,
wool
if
on
you
wool.
go shopping for carpet, you have to. I always teach my clients techniques to not to be like an idiot, but act like an expert somehow. You take out a carpet and you say, "Oh my God, this is wool on wool," and oh, you're an expert. I say, "Oh," and you ask a question like, "So what's the knotting like?" And then people will stop. But if you go to a carpet store and we don't ask this kind of questions, you will be chopped like no one's business. So if you pay attention to our program, you might just learn a few things that might save you a few $1,000s.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it would appear like an expert, which it doesn't hurt.
Yeah. So this is the one that is on the saddle. And when you mention snow lion, once again, because we have a real creature right here, this is a tiger.
Yes.
Even though it exists very little in Tibet, but the snow lion we know is mythical.
It's a mythical.
So once again, this is like a magical carpet
It's a magical carpet.
that gives you the spirit and transforms you or transfers you, or transplants you, or brings you to the realm where the snow lion is, or to the level where the snow lion is. Again, another form of traveling beyond what we can see, what we can imagine.
Absolutely.
And one more to mention, I mean, it's on a horse somewhere, right?
Exceptional. When you look
really like
at
this, yeah.
when you look at the outer border, I've never seen an outer border that represents the phoenix and the dragon.
Oh, yes. You're correct, yeah.
And we say that this is a mythical animal, the snow lion, but isn't the dragon and the phoenix also a mythical animals? They are.
Which means that this carpet here is saddle, and it really brings the person who owns this or who is sitting on this to the realm of imagination.
Realm of
Mystical being,
imagination.
yeah.
Yes.
This is really something.
Imagine that this rug would have been admired when it was on the saddle, but actually this was laid on the back of the horse. Then on top of it, there would have been the saddle here in the middle. And then there's a missing piece here, which is just like a square, very small, would have had exactly the same design, which unfortunately it's missing.
Right.
And they're very rare because sometimes people inherit these beautiful items, and one child would get, one son would get one, the other one would get the other. So that this has been separated. Here we see the beautiful 16th century design of the Chinese cloud. So that tells you the story. The snow lion are actually flying.
Right, okay. You see, this is a magical carpet. This is a magical carpet. Even the snow lions are actually flying up in the air.
They are. And again, it just requires one cloud on one side, the other cloud on the other side to give you the sense of what is happening.
Right.
So it's an incomplete set, but nevertheless, very, very beautiful and relatively old, 19th century.
19th century, which means 1800 plus.
1800 plus.
200 plus years. This horse saddle rug that I'm holding is 200 over years.
I think it's 200 over years. It could be slightly later, but the way it's been, and you know, it's so rare to see. I have never seen this kind of borders. I have, but never on saddle.
So not only has this rug traveled over allow the owner to travel into the realm of the imagination beast, the mystical beast, it has also traveled through time.
Yes.
To here.
Yes.
So that's really something, yeah. All right.
Now, as we're talking about horses, and we've explained, we have mentioned rather than explained what this means, there's another fabulous piece.
That piece, this piece here?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, they're all very rare tonight, as you can possibly see.
Sorry.
It's only the dust. They are full of dust, and it's very difficult to get rid of them. Now, when you
as long as antique dust is fine. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
It's a precious dust.
It's a precious dust. It's not gold, let me assure you. Now, look at the shape of this.
This one looks like a, you know what? This one looks like, if it was anything smaller, it would look as if it's the bottom part of the emperor's clothes.
Possibly.
Because of the symbols that are here, Mount Meru.
Mount Meru.
Mount Meru.
Definitely.
Because it looks very Qing Dynasty. It looks very Qing Dynasty because when you look at period drama, they will have this thing at the end of the gown. Similar.
Yes.
And you have this shape over here. Because can we show the shape? It's a bit trapezium. It's a bit trapezium style.
It is.
So it's narrow at the top and then much wider at the bottom with the entire Mount Meru design on these borders. It really looks like if it was any smaller, but of course it's a carpet, yeah.
And as I was mentioning before, very rare, difficult to find, and it represents a horse blanket. Not very many were made, because actually they could have done the horse blanket in other kind of textiles. So this tells me that it was an important commission by a very rich family in order to show off their horses coming out from the stable and having just this.
What?
So imagine that the horse was running, came back to the stable, they took off the horse saddle and the saddle, and then covered the horse. And they covered the horse with this amazing blanket. Again, when we look at the color, I would not exclude the possibility that this carpet, because of the orange, was for monastic use. What does it represent? Actually, Mr. Khan was saying that he can see, and it's true, the Mount Meru. But
yes,
all around the Mount Meru, we see three things. We see clouds, and therefore it's the sky. Then we see the ocean, and we also see the water. For the Tibetans, this represents and symbolizes the universe. So a very important symbol that you can actually see in not only in this Tibetan beautiful rugs, but you can also see in 17th, 18th century textile, silk textile made in China.
There's one point I don't understand. You mentioned that it's a horse carpet, horse rug.
This is a horse blanket.
Horse blanket, how? They put it on the horse?
They put it on
so the horse doesn't get cold? Is that how it is?
It's because the horse had been running. So when it gets back to the stable, they would actually, before it enters the stable, they would cover the horse with a blanket.
So this part will be nearer to the neck.
Correct.
And because I suppose the butt of the horse is much bigger, so this part would be at the end.
It would be at the end. But imagine,
oh, I see, yeah.
Imagine the effect. Imagine a white horse, okay? And having this beautiful colors with a marvelous border
I must show
And
you. Yeah.
at the center, as you can possibly see, there is the revered peony.
The peony. So imagine that actually we have because it's supposed to stretch over not just the saddle part, it's supposed to stretch over the whole horse.
Correct.
And covering the butt as well. So it's supposed to even be more extensive than this, right? Something like this to cover the horse. And on both sides you can see, that will explain why the entire border is with the mount marrow. So probably it might look like this to imagine there's a horse head near Mr. Pino, and this is where the horse butt is.
Correct.
So
Correct.
actually it looks like a gown for the horse. Because as I was saying, when you lifted this up, it looks like the gown for the empress and the princess in the Qing dynasty. So they are honoring this horse with a gown like this.
And again, my hypothesis is that this particular horse blanket was possibly for a llama, and only because of the colors. And I don't think I'm too distant from the reality. And imagine when the llama would come out from the stable and would possibly be the horse being covered by this. It would have immediately been recognized. So even the colors would have helped in providing what Mr. Kane said earlier, almost like a business card. Without exchanging it, people would immediately know who they were dealing with. Look at the elegance. Have you ever seen a horse blanket so sophisticated with this amazing decoration?
I have not even seen a human blanket that is so sophisticated.
Beautiful, amazing. And they were made very few. I suppose that at the time it was quite expensive. The loom would have been quite a big wooden loom, knotted in an exceptional way. This is all wool on wool. And I would say this would be end of the 19th, beginning of the 20th century.
150 plus minus.
Correct. In immaculate condition. There's nothing wrong with this. It's absolutely perfect. Is it a museum piece? Possibly. Possibly. I, again, have never seen anything so special and so beautiful and in such amazing, amazing status.
If it was anywhere lighter, if it was anything lighter, I would have allowed you all to actually put it here, and it will be the great gown. Truly, you know, because these sides will just fall nicely over here.
Quite heavy.
100%, yeah.
Quite
100%.
heavy.
I'm not joking. I mean, it's very heavy to start off with, but I mean, I can give a demonstration. So if I were to stand here, oh my God, it's so heavy. Yeah.
It's very heavy.
It's very heavy. And it will look pretty much like this, you know? Yeah, it will look like this. I'm the horse now, yeah. So it will look like this. I have to go to the sides to show. So this is the top part, which is a narrower, am I right?
Yes.
Yeah, the top part which is narrow. So it would be like this.
Yes.
It would be like this. See,
Wow.
now I'm the emperor. Yeah.
Very, very special.
You don't
very
even see something like this for a human, you know. And you look at the sides, it's supposed to be exactly like what the Qing Dynasty emperor gown looks like.
But isn't this similar to what you would possibly put on a wall? It's so decorative, so beautiful, and
I might just wear this for a while, you know. Because sometimes the aircon gets here a bit cold. So yeah, yeah. So there we have it. Okay, it's for the horse nonetheless. Yeah. Right.
oh, we have shown a beautiful horse saddle, then a horse blanket, and we're going to show you a very complex, and I would need to read some of the notes that I've made because it's really difficult for me to remember some of the symbols and at the same time the meaning of the symbols. And you will see that on this particular beautiful, amazing.
So we are talking about this prime one at the last one for tonight's episode. All the rugs, all the magical carpets we are showing today, we have fly all the way to see the tiger, the snow lion, Of course, the one that makes you feel like an emperor if you wear it on. Even for the horse, probably felt like an emperor horse. And we have this, a long one. A rather long one, I must say. Look at this.
Extremely
it's
beautiful.
Kadan?
Kaden.
Kaden, sorry, yeah,
Correct,
it's a Kaden.
Correct, correct. And again, either for meditation or for sleeping, but not too many rugs that I have seen have both the symbolism, the Buddhist symbolism.
Oh, wait, don't say. Don't say. Okay, for sure it's long enough for sleeping. Okay, look at this. Okay, extends. Since you are watching this, Jenny, Ashley, I see all you're here, Helen Sim and so on. Now there are a tons of symbols on this. Can we get a close up, just a pan close up of what's going on? Just comment into the whole, comment section. What symbols you see here? There's a lot. There's a multitude of symbols.
Many symbols.
And motifs around here. What do you see on this whole carpet? So many of them. It's not just one snow line, not just one cloud. Right? Can we just do it again from the top one more time? Yeah, maybe we just reverse it. Yeah. Right? What symbols do you see on the carpet? I mean, look at this. The center motif, it's quite obvious. And then you have this smaller ones here. Probably will give you a scoring board to actually score the whole thing. I mean, look at this. This one is unique. What is this thing here? This is something.
Look at the palette of the colors. You have this beautiful background, which is tan, beautiful, possibly natural wool. And then you have this amazing combination of colors again and symbols. This definitely, actually tonight, all the 4 pieces that have been examined come from very elitarian Tibetan workshops. It's not possible for somebody in the house to make something so complicated, so beautiful, with this balance of colors. Let me just start by telling you, what is this? What do you think this represents? And there are actually 3.
3 of them.
What represents?
1, 2, and 1 here. I think. I think we have an answer. Sorry, we have an answer by Eileen, who says that it's actually like a crane.
A crane.
It's a crane. Yeah.
Absolutely, this is a crane. Now, but what sort of a crane is this? This is a Tibetan crane, and the reference is to a black neck Tibetan crane. Totally different. And what is the meaning of this symbolism? First of all, it would accompany the Eye Lamas. So they are sort of protectors of the Eye Lama. One thing that really touches me in terms of significance, if perhaps you've been to Tibet, in Tibet, and I have been in Tibet, you would see it around the stupa, people praying, and they basically walk at least 3 times, actually 3 times, clockwise. So it's said, the tradition says, that when these cranes are flying, and they fly near a monastery, what happens? They actually fly 3 times around the monastery, 3 times, in sign of respect and in sign of devotion. After which they would land down and touch the marsh. So for the Tibetan Buddhist, this is an extremely important bird. Now look at the bird. The bird has 1 leg which is lifted. In the beak, it holds a flower. When you see the wings of the first one and the second one in terms of colors are the same. In the middle, the wings are slightly different in terms of color. Beautifully, beautifully rendered. Where it gets complicated, this particular carpet is in the symbolism.
Right.
And I have to make reference to the notes that I have because
Let's put it down gently first.
Yes.
Long carpet. We'll probably be keeping this in the gallery for a bit of time.
Yes. Now, first let's take a look at the Taoist symbol. And with the Taoist symbol, okay, we take a look at this one. Can you see this first symbol here? This first symbol is the so-called the flower basket. Now, I don't pronounce correctly the Chinese name which refers to, and that is the Lan Kai.
Lan Kai.
Yes.
Lan Cai He. Oh.
Sorry.
The deity that actually holds this basket is called Lan Cai. This one are we talking about?
This one.
Right.
And this basically is the patron of the florist and symbol of delusive pleasure. So this is one. Now we go to the second symbol, which is actually, when you look at it, you can actually make that this is a sword.
This one.
And again, the pronunciation would definitely be wrong. Lu Dongbin.
This guy is important.
Very important.
What we are saying is that we have on this whole carpet
Yes.
symbols of Buddhism, which you can see not just the crane but on the border as well. This will
Correct.
you'll be familiar on the border as well. You see this symbol, that's and then you see the shell there, the vase. These are the 8 treasures of Buddhism.
Correct.
And at the same time, around the cranes, you see the 8 artifacts held by what we call the 8 immortals.
The 8 immortals.
The flower basket, which is by Lan Cai He. The sword, which is by Lü Dongbing.
Yes.
Lü Dongbing is actually a grandmaster and the leader of them all.
It's what I read. It's the saint of the scholars and barbers. The sword that can ward off evil and destroy evil passions. Worshipped by the sick, thought to be a potent healer. In Feng Shui, I've learned there is the sword of coins.
Right, yes, yeah, kind of, yeah, yeah.
And apparently, the coins are usually associated with prosperity. This I've learned. However, also used as protective charm. A cluster of coins was strung with red cording in the shape of a sword, were then worn around the neck to ward off Sha Qi.
Yes.
Directed your way by a hostile source.
Yeah, I mean, sword is definitely for a defensive nature.
Defensive nature.
Also, but sword also means a scholarly purpose.
Right.
Because if you're not a scholar, you'll be holding a knife, not a sword.
Correct.
So this is Lü Dongbing's weapon, this is Lan Cai He. So what we have on the outside is the 8 symbols of Buddhism, and what we have on the inside around the cranes would be the 8 artifacts of the 8 immortals, which is important for the Chinese. So you have 8 on 8. So what else do we have?
Then we have the lotus, as you can possibly see.
Yes,
We have the lotus, and this is Yi Xianggu,
He Xian Gu.
and it's the model of filial piety, improve the mental and the physical health.
Well, it's the one that is the only lady deity among the 8 of them.
Right.
Right.
Then we have the castanets,
Oh my God, what is that? Yeah.
Cao Guayu,
Cao Guojiu.
patron saint of the
Should be this.
theater and
Should be this thing over here.
actors.
Yeah.
Then we
It's
have
it's the thing that you do this thing and then you create a rhythm thing.
yes. And the Spaniards actually use them when they dance.
Yes, correct.
It's very. Then we have the fan,
Right.
and the reference is to Zhong Li Quan.
I think it's only Quan. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yes, and represents the military man, chief of the 8 immortals, symbol of
Partly, yes.
longevity.
Uh-huh.
Carries a fan to revive the soul of the dead. And then in Feng Shui, it said that the fans have the power to deflect negative qi or energy directed your way by a hostile source.
Yes.
After that, we have a gout we're about to finish. Li Tianguai is the patron of medicine and healing,
Ah, have
said
it.
to be particularly benevolent to the poor and infirm, dispenses from his gout medicine to heal the sick.
The gout, yeah. The goat, I mean, the hulu one we mean is the one that is for 铁拐李, yeah, that's right, yep.
Then we have the flute,
Yep,
Hang Xianzi,
韩湘子.
carrying a flute and is regarded as the patron deity of musician, power to make flowers grow and blossom immediately.
Right.
And then the last one would be the bamboo drum associated with Zhang Guo Lao,
张国老.
for Taoists regarded as the protector of children and as a patron of wine and the good life, represents old age and with it longevity.
Well, yeah, we see all the artifacts and the weapons, probably, of the 8 immortals, Taoists. The 8 symbols of Buddhism on the outer rim that we know. We have the shell, we have...
Parasol, the conch, the lotus, the victory banner.
So why does this magical carpet has both symbols of Buddhism and Taoism?
Because you've said it, it's a magical carpet.
I mean,
It's a
of
magical
all the carpets, this is definitely the most magical one of all. I mean, it even has weapons of the deities and oh sorry, it has weapons of deities and the ones of Buddhism as well. So this is the most magical one of all.
The most magical, the most complicated, in my opinion, the fact that 2 important set of symbols have been put together, amazing.
And this
Simply
is
amazing.
also a Tibetan carpet.
Tibetan carpet, absolutely Tibetan carpet. Now, the last thing which you have observed and I've not commented is that the 4 corners have the bat.
Right, a very Chinese thing, yeah.
Very Chinese.
Very
things.
Chinese, yeah.
Perfect
Very
condition.
Chinese.
Again, we're talking about something like at least 100 years old. Very perfect condition. It was definitely kept as a very special rug in aristocratic home, and they must have spent at the time a fortune to commission something like this. And I'm sure they gave precise instructions of what kind of symbolism they actually wanted to have on this rug.
100%, this is staying in the gallery for sure. Because you know, feng shui, it's other than the things that you explained, the idea of feng shui itself, it's very Buddhist and Taoist combined together. So you have the whole thing here. I mean, this is a very blessed carpet. Probably I'll just lay it on the table like this. I mean, it looks nice even like this. Look at this. It's
I mean,
beautiful.
you've said this is a magical carpet. How can it not look nice?
We see one magical carpet that transforms us or that brings us to the ram closer to the tiger. And then we see the carpet that actually brings us closer to the snow lions, the imaginary mystical creature. We also see a carpet that actually brings us to, for instance, this one over here, to the realm of Buddhist and Taoist deities and Buddhas. So the magical carpet, these are all it. I mean, we look at the cranes, we already know that cranes are a recurring symbol and motif in Master Yun's painting.
Yes.
The one next to you is called Shen He Wei Wang. Victoria's crane is crown king. The one behind me is obviously a crane, but it's not our common crane. It is the feng shui and is Master Yun's spiritual and world kind of crane. And I think regardless it is whether it's a carpet or whether it's a painting, both of them are magical in the sense that we are always trying to, because today we have airplanes. Unlike in the past, they don't have airplanes, so they will need to imagine their carpets to bring them to where they want to be. But today we have airplanes, and we are actually thinking about not just ourselves and where we want to be, not just in Italy or maybe tomorrow I want to go to China, but we are actually thinking about what we want to be in the time to be. In time to come, we want to be better than what we are today. And these are what Master Yun's paintings and art can do for us. In fact, talking about mystical creatures like snow lions, in fact, this crane, I mean, this is also an imagination crane. It's not the real crane that we have in our real life. One of the mystical or mythical creature that Master Yun has created is what we call the something like this. It's called the pineapple dragon. Have you heard of pineapple? You know pineapple, right?
Yes,
If
of
Singapore
course I
born
do.
enough, you know pineapple. So this is pineapple, and this is dragon. So together it's called pineapple dragon.
Right.
The dragon has the body of the pineapple. Right? It's Master creation. It was created quite some years back. I'm only bringing one sample for everyone to see. This is the crystal. It can serve as a crystal mountain, but we also have pendants that are created in the same image. Same when the Tibetans, they imagined the snow lions, it was for protection, it was for status, and the pineapple dragon is actually for wealth and power. So in every time, in every era, in every culture, there are always opportunities for us to actually imagine how we can be better than ourselves today. What kind of people do we want to be tomorrow? Are we going to be way better that you think that, oh, it's physically and mortally impossible, therefore I will need a magical carpet to bring me there? So there we are. That's why we are here, and that's why you should have Master Yun's Feng Shui art.
Absolutely.
It's actually, in a sense, a form of a magical carpet. Come and think of it, right?
And look at the combination of what we see on this carpet and what we see in these two beautiful paintings by Master Yun
Yes.
behind us.
Right. So, okay. All the carpets is I'm definitely going to leave a lot of the carpets around here because they look really amazing. Great addition to the entire gallery's facade and feel. We have to ask a question before we come back next week, and we have to choose also at the same time who is the winner of last week's lucky draw, you know? So let us ask the question first,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
Very simple question. Now the rock right behind us, some of them have answered just now.
Yes?
Just look at this rock. We know it's Tibetan, we know it's about 150 plus minus years, kind of thing. What is the symbol on this rock? What does it represent? That is the question of today.
Good question. Not too complicated, but still, if you have followed this episode, you would be able easily to remember.
Everything to do with this Chinese year.
Yes, and
Right.
power
Yeah.
and protection.
Right. So in the past, this carpet was used for high lamas. They use it to symbolize their status. It's pretty much like a walking name card, and everyone who sees that, oh, you own a piece of this carpet, you must be someone,
Yes.
right? Because of the symbolism behind. So the question is very simple: what is this carpet? What creature does it symbolize?
Yes.
Right? Shall we choose 3 of them?
With pleasure.
So write in the comments, let us know what creature does this carpet symbolize. 1, oh, it's been a long time. To Wei Wei, congratulations.
Congratulations, good luck.
Second, we have Amanda Ng.
Congratulations, Amanda, and good luck
And
to you.
the last one, we have Chel Chua. Chel Chua.
Yes.
Oh, that's 3, yeah, Chel Chua. To Wei Wei, Chel Chua, and Amanda.
Congratulations, all the best.
Once again, the question was that this carpet right beside me and Mr. Pino, what creature or what powerful being does it symbolize?
Yes.
Put it in the comments, let us know, and you'll stand a chance to win, be a winner next week. I hope you find your magical carpet. I hope you can fly far in terms of physical distance, and not just physical distance, but also spiritual distance as well.
And you can fly to the gallery. It's
And you
not
can find
too
the
far
gallery, yeah,
It's
and
not
feel
too
the
far
carpet.
away.
Yeah. Cheers. And we'll
Cheers.
see you next week, 7:30 for another episode of Museum in Lotus.
Thank you.